Not since Bonnie and Clyde have two people been so good at being bad. True Romance.
True Romance is without a doubt one of my most favorite movies of all time. I don't know where I'd rank it exactly, but it's on up there. Directed by Tony Scott and written by Tarantino, it certainly has the Tarantino vibes, but the story is presented in a sequential order. You see things play out as the characters are experiencing them. You don't jump ahead in time and then go back and piece together the story that way. I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, I will read the synopsis from the back of the Arrow Video Blu-ray that I picked up last year. It says, Elvis-worshipping comic book store employee Clarence Worley is minding his own business at Sonny Chiba's Triple Bill when Alabama Whitman walks into his life, and from then on, the two are inseparable. Within 24 hours, they're married and on the run after Clarence is forced to kill Alabama's possessive psychotic pimp. Driving a Cadillac across the country from Detroit to Hollywood, the newlyweds plan to sell off a suitcase full of stolen drugs to fund a new life for themselves, but little do they suspect that the cops and the mafia are closing in on them. Will they escape and make their dream of happiness come true in the end? You just gotta watch to find out, and I highly recommend that you do, because it is a wild ride. So much like the synopsis says, it's kind of like a modern 90s take on a Bonnie and Clyde story. The cast of this movie is really incredible. It's star-studded, and each character is written so very well. That's Tarantino. The monologues are fantastic. There are a couple scenes in this movie that are among my favorite of any Tarantino film, written or directed. That scene with Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper is so intense. If you haven't seen it, just wait until you watch it.
You see that? And smarts, doesn't it? It slammed in the nose. Fucks you all up. Get that pain shooting through your brain, your eyes fill up with water.
And of course, that iconic scene when Clarence confronts Drexel. Man, Gary Oldman just knocks it out of the park. He's just unrecognizable. From voice to look, he's a true chameleon. And this is back before he was really getting those major, huge roles that we've seen him in the past. I mean, he's had an amazing career, but that scene in particular, just so well done, so intense. And there's a lot of those scenes in this movie where you're kind of on the edge of your seat, but I really do like it. And I gotta say, if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of Tarantino's work. It's a wild ride, so definitely check it out. But with all that said, a couple years ago, or last year I believe, Trick or Treat Studios announced they were going to be doing action figures for True Romance, and I was absolutely blown away. Now, Syndicate Collectibles did show some True Romance figures at a Comic-Con, I believe, last year or year before. And so I was really thinking that would be the route I would go. Then Trick or Treat Studios sweeps in and announces theirs. And so I pre-ordered them. I believe they're just about sold out everywhere now. And there were some delays on the figures, but they finally arrived. And I'm here today to talk about this small collection of figures that Trick or Treat Studios has done, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and what I'd like to see maybe if they continue, do a series 2, or if they expand this line. I really love how the packaging came. I was torn because the packaging was so well done. I didn't want to bust them out. Had I known that, I may have ordered doubles. It was one of those kind of things. I'm never opposed to opening figures, but these were just look so great on card. But for the sake of it, I wanted to display them. I didn't want to hang them up. I went ahead and opened them up to share my thoughts and opinions on the things that Trick or Treat Studios did with these figures. So the first one we're going to take a look at here is the Mentor, the Elvis Presley type character played by Val Kilmer. Doesn't come with any accessories, would make sense. The character is really barely seen in the film. He always stays kind of blurred out in the background. But, you know, it looks like Val Kilmer. It really does. I thought they got the likeness down pretty well. He has the famous sort of gold sunglasses, the rockabilly haircut, the gold jacket, and along the lapel, it's kind of sparkling, maybe sort of gemstone encrusted. He has a little bit of articulation. You know, his arms swing back and forth. His legs kind of swing back and forth. His head turns. So what is that? I guess 5 points of articulation. But he can point his hand out and deliver the famous line,
"Clarence, I like you. I always have. Always will."
So I think that's neat. May not have been my first choice, a figure, but it's still neat, right? I don't have a lot of Val Kilmer figures, and especially for one of his smaller roles that he did, but a job well done. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer, obviously. But yeah, neat that they included this in their line. And yeah, so this is the Mentor figure. And now we'll move on to Clarence. And as you see, I tried to preserve the packaging as much as I could by opening it in a way that the packages are all still intact and not torn. But let's take a look at Clarence, the main protagonist, quote unquote, in the film. Again, donning the gold Elvis-like sunglasses, the slick back hair. He's Elvis worshipping, comic book loving character. And so he does come with a couple of accessories. He's got his revolver pistol, which he uses throughout the film, or carries throughout the film, and the suitcase full of stolen drugs. Now, I was a bit bummed the suitcase didn't open. That's unfortunate. But I think they captured the detail of Christian Slater and the character of Clarence really well. The jacket has all the patches. He has this military type jacket, probably his dad's, or maybe something he picked up at a thrift store. Who really knows? It doesn't really get into it. But same articulation, arms swing back and forth, legs sort of swing forward, head turns around. But a really good representation of Clarence. I like that it came with a couple of accessories, right? Stolen drugs, the revolver pistol. All in all, a really good job. You know, Trick or Treat Studios, their figures, I only have a couple of other ones, and their build quality's really solid. The paint's done really well. They feel like robust, sturdy action figures. They all stand, for the most part, pretty well. And so I really look forward to see what they continue to do with some of their releases. Obviously, this is not horror related, so maybe it's a tale of things to come for Trick or Treat Studios, and the fact that maybe they'll dip into some other franchises. But I absolutely love the Clarence figure. And of course, the love interest of the film, Alabama Whitman. You know, I should say Alabama Worley. They are married. And so, yeah, you know, again, with sunglasses, has the pink leopard print tights on. She has a little pink purse accessory. And they nailed the clothes down to the details on the blue shirt really well. And so one thing about this figure particularly is she was a bit harder to stand. Maybe it's just the way that her legs kind of swing open and the way that they kind of collapse down together. But I was able to get her to stand up on her own. A little bit of a challenging. These figures don't have any peg holes in the bottom, so you kind of really have to work with them to get them to stand. So yeah, you know, a great figure, a great representation of Patricia Arquette playing Alabama. And I do kind of wish, though, that maybe you have the option to take the sunglasses off, Alabama and Clarence. You know, I'm okay with Elvis or the Mentor leaving his sunglasses on, but it would have been neat if that was just sort of an extra feature, because 3 out of the 4 figures, you know, have sunglasses on. It's a small complaint, small observation, if anything, not really a complaint. Last and most certainly not least, the figure that I was looking forward to the most, the one that I would have ordered regardless if I didn't get the rest of them, is Drexel. Like I said, one of my favorite characters in the Tarantino universe. Gary Oldman just is unrecognizable, from his voice to some of the makeup that they did on him. I actually dressed up as Drexel for one Halloween. I'll throw a picture up of me many years ago. But such a just psychotic, crazy character. The pimp of Alabama Worley. And look, you know, he has the most accessories, right? He's got the Chinese food, comes with an egg roll.
You have a seat, boy. You have yourself an egg roll. We got everything here from a little I Joe to damn it, I know.
No thanks.
No thanks? What that mean?
Of course, you gotta have the egg roll, obviously, and the burner, the shotgun. And look, I've heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, I've heard that Gary Oldman is very particular about giving up his likeness for characters. I don't know if there's any truth behind that. I've read it a couple of times. And thinking about it, I don't really have hardly any true to likeness Gary Oldman figures. I have the Dracula figures from Applause from many years ago, but nonetheless, this is the one I was looking forward to the most. It looks great. He's got the cheetah print silk robe on, of course, some Chinese food, the burner. He's got that psychotic grin on his face. They captured the scars really well, even down to the necklaces he's wearing. Great figure. My favorite of the line. Like I said, the one I was absolutely looking forward to the most, without a doubt. And the thing I love about these figures is I actually have the Jack Slater convertible car from the Last Action Hero line, and Alabama and Clarence scale perfectly with that figure. So one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to get a second one and paint it pink, which I'm apprehensive to do because the one I have, I got for like $20 or $30. I looked these up and the price has gone up on these. I think I could probably still find one for cheaper. But the car, it may not be the exact model of 1974 Cadillac Eldorado, but it works. And it would look great if I painted this thing pink, added the leopard print detail on there, and had it to display with these. So I'm tempted. I don't know if I'll sacrifice the one I have, but they scale perfectly with that vehicle. So what an awesome little extra thing that you can add to it to display some scenes from the movie. I think that would be really cool. So what I would like to maybe see moving forward is some different characters if they decided to do it. Yeah, I'd like to see Vincenzo Coccati, played by Christopher Walken, the mafioso Sicilian boss. Virgil, played by the late, great James Gandolfini. Dick Ritchie, played by Michael Rappaport. Floyd, played by Brad Pitt. You got Big Don, played by Samuel L. Jackson, a very small part. Like I said, it's a star-studded cast. I'll even throw in the 2 FBI agents in there too. That would be great too. So there's a lot that they could do if they decided to expand this line. I would probably buy all of them. I really would. And so I'm gonna stick these figures up on my Tarantino shelf, and they'll look great, obviously fitting in with the rest of the Reservoir Dogs and Kill Bill figures. And so I couldn't be more excited that Trick or Treat Studios has done these. If Syndicate Collectibles decides that they're going to release theirs, I'll be tempted to see how they do things differently. I believe those figures were going to be a bit larger, maybe closer to like a 1/12 scale. These are 5-inch size figures. So it's funny because they almost are the exact same size as the Last Action Hero figures. I'll put some up here by comparison so you can see. But a really great thing that Trick or Treat Studios has done. Amazing packaging. I've preserved those. I've got True Romance on VHS. Like I said, I picked up the Arrow Blu-ray last year that has a bunch of extras, the theatrical cut, director's cut, a bunch of behind-the-scenes interviews, some promotional things. Came with a cool poster and a book. I haven't really got a chance to flip through that yet. I probably should have before I did this video, but that's okay. But absolutely great. So viewers, tell me, are you a fan of any Tarantino films, specifically True Romance? What other figures would you like to see Trick or Treat Studios do now that we see that they're branching outside of just horror? I would love to know. And if they decided to expand this line, what other characters from True Romance would you like to see them bring to the table? Thank each and every one of you for stopping down, checking out my content. If you like what you've seen here and it's your first time, share it with a friend. Share the love. I love to have conversations with my viewers on all my videos, so drop a line. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how your collection's going. And it's like I say at the end of all my videos, let's be kind as we rewind and fast forward through time. Thank you so much for stopping by 2 Day Rentals.